Turner.
Aaron, Ben.
And
Good morning.
Clatterbuck. Woo! Good to see everybody this morning.
Good morning.
How we doing today?
How you
Good.
doing? Good. How you doing?
Nice to see you. Sorry that I was missing the tunes. I was just jamming here, my jam, and then you're like, "Hey, are there supposed to be music right now, or what?" So thanks for the heads up on that. Yes, there was good tunes. Thanks to Jesh. Jesh put that together for us. Welcome to Ops Masterclass. Great to see everybody this morning. If you heard me talk about it today on the live, you know our amazing Taryn Turner, aka T Money. Ben, I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but my boy put his name on the screen for me. He told me just one day though, just one day. He's not going to do it more than one day. Taryn Turner, T Money was on the screen. Today we're going to talk some pretty exciting stuff about maximizing sales with automations and just using automations in general to increase your operating efficiencies, and how we can actually, a lot of times visionaries will come to us and say, man, how can I bang my operation costs down because I'm paying too many people to do too much? And one of the best ways we can always reroute them is, well, hey, let's implement some automations that actually increase your sales by just streamlining how you're communicating to your people, and then it'll help us to actually drop down some of the overhead costs that's found in labor on things that are unnecessarily manual, things that you're doing or that's just working against each other. It's really easy once you build up a product suite to then have products that are actually working against each other, that aren't meshing with each other, that aren't speaking the language of a customer journey that's like set by automations. And so Taryn Turner is one of the best in the business. Taryn has really come up through the last 8 years or so with me and just done some amazingly powerful things. We started with Keith Yackey, and Keith Yackey introduced us to Pete Vargas, and Pete Vargas introduced us to Pedro Adeo. And then from there, we've gone on to work with a ton of people on maximizing their automations and how we can do better with automations. And I talked about it a little bit yesterday, where I used to handle automations at the very beginning. And then we found that actually automations is Taryn's sweet spot. So he's become we call it solutions architect within Collab team. And usually as we come into our higher level retainers, that's usually how we'll pose it. Hey, how can we help you with your automations and your tech to maximize sales? We'll introduce Taryn first, because I always tell people really like me until they meet Taryn. And then they're like, oh, well, this is actually the guy that we need to be talking to. So Taryn, I know you're well spoken of throughout this whole industry. I mean, Barium Blue at Sage, anytime Taryn's name comes up, they light up. Different folks that have seen you and see your names and see your name appear in different places, they always love to hear from you. So we're pumped to hear from you today. And Ben, welcome today with us as well, because yesterday we had Savannah. Ben Clatterbuck is also one of our solutions technicians that comes in alongside of Taryn, works with Taryn on a lot of automations-based projects. And Ben has done amazing work the last couple of years in this space as well, and does great work for Pace Morby, Pedro Adeo, different clients of ours from that whole automation side of things, as well as he's pretty much Keith Yackey's personal slave. Anytime, like the Grow Rev guys are working on things with Keith and they're like, hey, Keith, let's do this. And it's like in the text thread, I see Keith just hard push it to Ben. So I think that I know that both you guys, welcome this morning. Thanks for joining us for the Ops Masters class.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. I think that's where we've all started though, with Keith Yackey.
That's right. Keith Yackey's the origin of all things, right? He was our first client. And man, he's really opened up great doors. I think the amazing thing about Keith is just so damn fun to be around, right? Like Keith is just like a barrel of monkeys. You know what I mean? Like always, never know what you're going to expect, but always so damn fun. When Keith was first talking about what he wanted his hashtags to be or things that he's known by, it was like bring the joy, hashtag bring the joy. And I just felt like it just fit him. Like when Keith shows up, things get fun. So anyway, that is where, but he also keeps us really busy. He also is like trying to handle all the different things, and all the new ideas he has can be tricky. So anyway, Taryn, I don't want to take any more of your time. Just want to encourage everybody, if you didn't hear it yesterday, I know as you're watching on Facebook, as you're watching on YouTube, not all of you came through foundationsthatscale.com, which is great. Watch us here, enjoy it, take it all in. You're going to get the same experience, except you may have not gotten the free tool that we gave away. So if you didn't get the free tool, we talked about it a lot yesterday, gap analysis, identifying on your team how much time things should be taking within each department, within each side of your team. Please go there. Foundations at Scale, that's our gift to you, is for you to be able to go and grab that free gift there. So all you have to do is opt in and you'll be emailed out the gift. So with that, Taryn Turner, with no further ado.
Well, thank you, Aaron. Happy to be here today. I'm a longtime subscriber. I watch all your shows.
Because you have to. Because you have
Really,
to.
really glad you're having me on as a guest today.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
so as Aaron mentioned, we're talking marketing automations. I like to call it applications, integrations, and automations, sales through automations, how to up level your back end workflows, what's running without people running it. And the end result is always happier customers. Happier customers means more sales because we all know your number one customer is a customer you already have. So if you're able to master this part of the process, then you know they're going to be coming back for more and more and more. And how I got started in this little subset is I've done a lot of things with Aaron, with other companies, with my short life so far. But as we started working with different clients, we started seeing the need of automations and marketing and integrations and people doing things manually. They've got lists of clients and sheets. They've got things written down. They've got people with just email inboxes full of things to do. And they're just hungry for this small piece of tech that's really going to up level their business. Good example is a few years ago, gosh, I don't even know how long it's been now since we started with Pedro Adeo, but probably almost 4 years maybe now.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so we started out with him. He was one of your classic entrepreneurs that we've worked with a lot, experiencing that hockey stick growth. You know, they had a proven process, a strong market niche, and it just took off. He had a few people with him, just hanging on to the side, just trying to hold on for dear life and ride this hockey stick up. And turns out what they really needed was a fresh CRM, customer resource management application. They were doing their best. I mean, there's nothing to do with them. They were doing their best, but they were holding everything in Sheets, Google Sheets, Smart Sheets. They had no real CRM hub. Their email list was just an email list, hit send all to everything you're doing. And there just wasn't much behind the processes or the technology and what they were doing. No real fulfillment automations. They might get a buyer email, but then everything after that is just manually reconciling this Google sheet of people of like, okay, what have they paid? Do they qualify yet? Like, what can we send them? What did we send them? Somebody forgot to check the box yes on this person. Somebody checked no, but we did send it to them. So just so many places for manual human errors. So never knew what their customers purchased or from where. Hard to reconcile all that stuff, really hard to scale. So we came in and we set them up with an awesome CRM. We chose Infusionsoft for them because they wanted something that could do everything. And we like the way Infusionsoft does everything. It's got your contact management, tagging, marketing automations, campaigns, emails. It's got text messages now. It's got your e-commerce section. It does its own e-commerce orders, invoices, purchases, payments, PayPal. It's got lots of plugins. We use a tool called Plus This, Spiffy, just lots of different plugins we can do from it. And with Zapier, plugging in any CRM, the opportunities from there are almost endless. But we do reach their ends because Zapier can't do everything. But that's where we came in. We got them all set up, got them transferred out of what they were doing into a legit CRM just in time for their biggest challenge ever. It was called the 414 Challenge, May of 2020. And then into that was his launch of Crush It with Challenges in June of 2020. Or actually, I think it was the month before. May of 2020 was Crush It with Challenge. April was a 414. And so what we were able to deliver at that point was a master fulfillment system, email marketing, automations, purchases. And the best part was being able to reconcile all the data from it. You can have Pedro ask you like, okay, so how many people joined through Facebook? How many people who joined through Facebook purchased? How many people who joined through Facebook and purchased VIP also purchased the main offer? It's like, you can make 3 clicks and you can get him that data in minutes rather than trying to harness this data from 5 different places, running it through sheets, writing formulas, scratching your head, throwing it all away because it didn't work, redoing it, and then giving him something that you're 70% confident about. So we were able to deliver that. And that's really like the start of the marketing automations and sales optimization through marketing. Because from there, you get to bring it all together and start to write the automations for, okay, what happens after a customer purchases? Like, this isn't the end. Like, we're a growing company. We've got new products, we've got new offerings. I don't just need to sell them, send them something and then forget about them. Like, what can we do more of? And if you don't have a good process in place for that, you're really just losing potential sales. So with those, you're looking at leading these customers down a path. It's like, which journey do you want them to go towards? And a lot of the marketing automation platforms we use, like, they actually do look pretty visual, and you're breaking people up down different paths. And you're saying, okay, does the contact exist in this way? Does it have these values? If so, send them here. If not, send them here. And so you're actually like, okay, 60 days after they buy this course, what do we want from them? Should they schedule a call? What if they've already scheduled a call? Should they go over here? What if they're already unqualified for this because our system knows they've tried it? And so let's send them down here. Maybe they'd like one of these other courses. And courses you've already done the work for, they exist. Just start presenting the opportunity to people. And then you're also getting, automated selling at that point. So it's not any more effort on your team. It's just the initial build, which, I mean, they can be pretty quick once you already have your CRM built out. The hardest thing we always need to get is copy. It's like, okay, who's going to give us the copy? We're always hounding somebody like, I got it all set up. It's all perfect. It's just full of lorem ipsum, gobbledygook. Like, just somebody write some emails for us. I can't write copy, but that's all we need to get it going. And then once you get some good copy in there, like, you're just hooking people, you're sending people different ways. You got sales coming through without you lifting any more fingers, and your team's just running. Those gears are greased because, as we talked about yesterday, you've got the right people in the right spots. You got your job descriptions. You've got everybody's happy. And so now that sales are rolling in through this automation machine that's maximizing your sales value, you can just sit back and your team's running. Of course, the visionary then is going to be getting new ideas. You're always building out new things, but really getting that optimization through the automation is two of my favorite shins.
I love the shins. All the shins. The shins are all good. Love it.
So let me just show you here. Let's see, just a good little example of some automations being written up here. And the good thing about it is once you do a challenge, you can templatize it just like everything else we talk about. Create the SOP the first time, templatize it, and you can just reuse it every single time. So with an automation like this is just a template every time they go to run a challenge now. They can just duplicate this, fill in the blanks, and hit go, and it's good to go. We're looking at here on the left, different people joining. It goes from left to right. So we are actually able to see where they came in through, were they organic? Was it an affiliate? Was it Facebook? Was it Google? Or even the bot, there's a Facebook bot that's adding people in. So right there from the get-go, we're actually able to see the data of, okay, where are our people coming in through? Is Google ads worth it? We've just spent $10,000 and we got 200 opt-ins. What could we have done better with that money? And this gives you the data before it's too late. Like, if you're doing an after action review because you don't have good data coming in, because you don't really have any system that's tracking this for you, it's going to be too late for you to make an adjustment and stop doing Google ads if that's not your target audience right now. But if you've got this set up, you can set up live reporting that's feeding that data in, and people know right away, okay, these Facebook ads right now are hot. Whatever this ad was we were running, let's just stop Google ads, push that money into this Facebook ad, and let's just keep going. And then from there, you just got, your automations that follow up. You've got fulfillment emails. then you can keep going from here. You can pull them into a sequence to sell them into a VIP if they haven't purchased yet. And the great thing about automations like this is it will check to see if they've purchased yet, because one of the frustrating things is getting an email asking you to do something you've already done. And we see this across the board. Sometimes it's a mistake. Sometimes it's just ignorance, laziness, whatever it is, just not spending that extra time to segment your list properly. Really ends up with fatigue on your customer service team, because your customer service team has other things they can be working on that adds value back to your business instead of just putting out fires. So this is a great example of just adding this extra spot over here on the right of, okay, let's wait 30 minutes. Did they purchase VIP afterwards? No, they didn't. Okay, let's just hit them a few reminder emails about VIP and that they can purchase it here, and just redirect them. And then further down, we've just got, okay, now they purchased a product. Maybe they did purchase VIP, and we've got different fulfillment for that VIP. And then also, what if they were refunded VIP? What if they 2 days later, they're like, oh, this was not for me. I misread the title. I'm not your market audience. I'm going to get a refund, and maybe they qualified for a refund. How do we remove the access they purchased? And, once again, this is all done through the automations. So just taking that time to set it up in the first spot really reduces the time on your team. And everything when it comes to customers and buyers always comes down to your customer experience team, customer support, customer success, whatever you're calling them. They're usually the ones feeling the fire if things aren't working correctly. So I always like to say we have in our tech meetings, I always enjoy having like somebody who is an eye in customer experience or customer support, because you can always find out what's broken or what's not working based on where the biggest complaints coming through customer support right now. Yep. And that's going to point exactly to stuff like this, like what didn't trigger correctly, what wasn't written correctly, what did we ask our customers to do that they've already done. So it's always important to have that eye in your customer support team. They're really feeling the fires. And this is just Infusionsoft I'm showing you, but they're all pretty similar. They just have different structures on how you create automations. But this is another template, event, conference, campaign template, just giving you some to show and tell. So it's not just looking at me all day. But just more fun automations. And some people are built for this. Some people like writing this. I know, Ben, you were pretty new to stuff like this, but after a while, you probably found it pretty enjoyable, didn't you?
Yeah, it is. It's like it gets to the point where it's like digital Legos, like piecing together this like structure of like how you want the customer to look, and I can build it this way or I can build it this way. And for me, it's probably a nerdy thing to say, but for me, it's like the creativity of how to create a customer journey. But it is, you can get really creative with it and do a lot of cool things, especially if it's a complicated customer journey where you are segmenting your audiences. It can be fun to be like, okay, how can I solve this problem? I've got 10 out of 30 people I want to do this specific thing for. How can I solve for that by sort of building out my automations specifically for them? It's fun.
Yeah. And one of the things I really like about when you're setting these up correctly is nobody has to wake up on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. and hit send.
Weren't you supposed to send that email out last night?
That's the worst. Or it's like late in the middle of the night and you're supposed to turn it over at like midnight. Who's going to stay up until midnight and make sure that this gets turned off or that gets turned back on? Or like I think automation saves so much energy and time that way. Taryn, do you feel like obviously this is so much beyond what anything I ever did as far as setup within tech. You obviously have taken it to the next level, and then have next leveled it even for some of the guys that were doing it in a big way and just said, hey, have you ever thought about changing this or adding this? Would you say stuff like this? I know Infusionsoft gets a bad name sometimes. It's Confusionsoft. Like people will talk. Usually, it's people that aren't used to working within infrastructure like a CRM, like Infusionsoft. Do you feel like once you've set some templates, that really it's a pretty straightforward next iteration of somebody creating something like this? It's a simple copy and paste, and then you come in or rather a duplicating of that template and then just plugging in the new assets, but you've already created pretty much the customer journey having taken that in from the visionary can come and say, hey, I don't care how you do it. This is just how you want it to work. And like Ben was saying, then we can go and plot it actually on a roadmap. And I think that is a perfect analogy of how your architecture works within, those different ways where we parse the names and we push people different directions and add different triggers based upon actions. Would you say that once you've created it the first time, it makes creating it the second time all the easier, because then you've kind of got the rhythms of the general feel of how we treat customers? Would you say once you do it once, it's easier to do it twice?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And these templates I showed you, this definitely wasn't our first iteration. We've won how many challenges and conferences, campaigns have I created for them before I've reached this point? It's you definitely get there over time. And even if it is your first one, you're going to be rehashing it out every time, being like, okay, we found we should be doing it this way. But once you do get a template in place, you can, not only is it easier, but you can have other people just jump right into it, fill in the blanks. Of course, you still need some knowledge base around this type of work. Not everyone's going to be able to look at here and understand what's going on, but it does make it that much easier the next time around for someone else jumping in here and being like, okay, I can see how this should be set up from day zero. And so that's what I'm looking for. That's my foresight as we go into building this. Does it all point back to this correctly?
Yeah, I mean, that's how even, I started building those automations for Pedro's. Taryn would say, hey, I have this, this automation built. I just need you to go in and copy and paste that and add these different tags. And as I'm going, I'm like, oh, like learning how this works. And it just takes a little bit of an inquisitive mind to go, oh, what happens if I do this? Oh, that breaks it. Okay, never mind. Control Z, undo, and go back to my original and keep playing a little bit. It's kind of like working and playing at the same time. Like I said, it's like a digital Legos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Taryn, you also had said, Ben, thanks for that. I think too, something to call out for people is Collab team does a couple of different things. Like obviously for our high level retainers, they bring us on, then we just usually own the side of tech. Taryn usually kind of step into that role of director of tech or however you want to term that now. But you'll own that and then task down to either our team or their team. But there is a point where you begin to start trying to level up people, right? We don't want people to become dependent on us. And that's something I always tell people when we start with Collab team is the last thing we want is for you to be beholden to us or us to have all the keys to your kingdom. Or, and some entrepreneurs, like some visionaries, they get really nervous about that. Oh, great, I'm going to hire out this third party that's going to come in and put in a piece of tech that I don't know how to control. A lot of them have come up from solopreneur to entrepreneur. So maybe they were driving all of their funnels before, and maybe they were sending all of their things out through Actionetics or whatever the tool was they were using. But when they bring in a third party, it's that fear of I don't know how that works. And does anybody on the field know how that works except for these new guys that have just come onto the field? I think one of the things you do really well is exactly like Ben was talking about is you'll hand projects off to people. You'll give them some good tutorial videos, give them a good SOP on if you're going to do this kind of stuff in the future, that's how you do it. I think you do that really masterfully on the way you hand it off, and then empowering people on those teams to go and take on certain segues. And I know for Pedro specifically, I know we keep talking about Pedro, but he's not the only one we do this for. But for Pedro, I know they've really come to that spot where they are raising up internal team that's taken on a lot of the normal maintenance style stuff, and they'll reach out to you when it breaks or when they need some tutelage or when they want some new thing rolled out. Maybe speak to that just a little bit. Like, how do you feel like that's the normal migration that you see in the kind of work that you do?
Yeah, that's the normal migration and what I would like to see happen. I do enjoy, getting to build and develop the new application, integration, automation, whatever it is, to a level to where I can be the expert resident on this application. But with the end goal being, I don't want to live there. I then want to be able to feed that knowledge into other people and share with other people and create a tutorial list of all the things I'm doing inside of this so that somebody else can then come through and take it over. And maybe I jet out completely. Maybe they've hired somebody, or maybe, like you said, I'm just there on standby now. I'm helping out with problems, troubleshooting, anything new that arises that they haven't had a chance to do before. But there is a lot of pushback when you do get the vision and they're like, I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know if I can trust it, but if I can trust it and you can trust me with it, then I feel like we can be on the same page. If I can look at this and tell you with 100% clarity, like I know exactly what's going on here, how it works, and I can answer any question you have about it in 2 minutes, then that's gonna really ease their mind that, okay, they don't need to know how it works, but they know if they have any questions, they can ask me. And in 2 minutes, I'll have their answers.
And do you feel like, sorry, and I don't want to take over, like you keep presenting the way you want to present, and I know you weren't going to, I know what your content is, so I know you weren't going to really talk about this today, but do you think that some of that time with the visionaries is just giving them something that's going to scratch their itch? You know what I mean? Like usually a lot of visionaries like seeing a dashboard or like seeing how things are performing. So saying, okay, hey, how do you want to see that data formatted? And then as they ask questions, being able to give them a really quick and easy go-to on this is what they're showing. Because usually it's around how is their money converting, right? Like, hey, I'm dumping all these ad dollars into this energy. How is it converting? And when you take away the tools that they used to work with, it can make them feel like, I don't know how it's performing. How's this performing? And just giving them some sort of dashboard of, hey, this is the performance that you're seeing. I know you used to see it this way. Let us try and speak that language. This is how you can look at that now, and giving them something similar. Would you say that's a good solution?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, find out what information they really want to see. What are the KPIs that are important to them? What is that data, or what is that level of success that makes them feel better about this? If it's a CRM, if it's a new application, how is this serving the company, and how can we reflect that to them? Like, is it a dashboard? And the dashboards in these, when we're talking about these CRMs and the marketing automation, leading to sales optimization, is dashboards can be really great, pretty easy to set up. And with Zapier, we can create custom dashboards in Google Sheets. People doing them in Google Data Studio now. So it's pretty awesome what you can show people in a pretty live snapshot, down to the 5-minute mark is what some of our dashboards refresh on.
Love that. Thanks, Ben.
The last little bit of, kind of the sales through automations has to do with the course sites. Everybody's getting their course sites up, selling courses. Once you have a course though, it's done. Like once the work is done, it's done. It's there. You don't have to sell it once and forget about it. One of the things I like trying to push people towards is how can we create these courses for sale in your course membership site? Like it already exists. We have it over here. We don't even need you to sell it. We can just, they're done with this course, we can pop it up. Hey, you just finished this course. Did you love it? If you loved it, you can try this next one here, and you can have your applications making sales for you on their own, so that you're not even feeding into the customer with automated emails, but it can be directly into the application. So I really like it when people go that direction.
Yeah, those are the best. I love those.
Well, it's kind of what I got here for the first part of my brief. You guys got any more questions or thoughts?
I would say even outside of making, front-facing sales when it comes to these automations, having these automations in place to sort of clean up the back end of sales too. Failed payments, failed payment plans, missing payments. I tried to purchase, but my card got declined. So instead of just letting me go as a customer, like I really want to purchase, maybe shooting me an email that says, hey, it looks like your card was declined. Would you like to use a different payment method? You can make a lot of great sales on the front end, but if those payments fail, if 25% of your payments fail on the front end, then you've lost 25% of your sales that you see by just not having a way to clean up on the back end, all those failed payments. Or if they're a payment plan, somebody may start a payment plan, a 12-pay payment plan, but they make one payment and then their card declines for the rest of them. Like you're losing out 11 more payments. How do you rectify that? So having automations in place that do not only front end sales and marketing, but like back end cleanup of those sales is earning money and also keeping money that you should be earning too.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I completely forgot to add that to my notes. I mean, that's a really good call out. You can automate any of those instances Ben mentioned. You can have new purchasers who payment failed sit in a waiting pool, and if their purchase doesn't go through in the next 30 minutes, you can send them an email like, hey, do you want to try again? Do you need to contact your bank? Here's a list of regular payment failures we see. Number one is maybe you hit your daily limit. Maybe the price is too high. Maybe you just need to get bank approval. So yeah, having them wait there in that pool and just send them some automated emails is perfect. And then the second part, failed payments on payment plans. what do you have in place that's recapturing those? Do you need to plug into an outside service? Fortunately, in Infusionsoft, we can plug in all the billing automations we need around failed payments because it's an e-commerce hub on its own. So it's actually controlling the payments and the cards itself. So yeah, payment fails. We've got emails triggered for a week, every couple of days, letting them know, warning them they're going to lose access. If they don't pay, we've got emails or we've got automations going on after that removes what they purchased, notifies the customer support team, creates any manual tasks. If they need to be removed from a Facebook group, which is manual, it'll create the task for somebody to remove them. But ideally, we do want to get that money back. And sometimes the only way to get that money back is by, by giving these, I don't know, I want to say threats, but by basically saying, you agreed to purchase and you've broken your agreement. So we're taking away your access. And at that point, people will then have a little more, ability. They'll want to make that payment a little more than if they still had access. They'll just be like, oh, I still have access. I don't need to make that payment. Yep. I'm not losing anything.
Stern warnings.
That's a good alternative to threats. There's a source out today.
I think that just the awareness around, obviously we're talking about moving away from just a landing page that's plugged in with your, payment gateway. I mean, like that's usually the first automations people take, right? T, like they enter in, they get a landing page vehicle, whatever they're going to choose to use. They plug in Stripe, whatever their payment vehicles are, the credit card gateways, the payment gateways into the back. Obviously, the downside of that is then the only visibility you really have is in your payment gateway, right? But then sometimes your payment gateway is throwing flags on things that automations could be solving for you. Like I know early days on, we would get messages from entrepreneurs that would be like, we've had so many failed payments. Who's jumping on the failed payments? Who's going to make phone call? And like all this like frenetic energy around who's following up on faileds. But if you have automation sequences that are helping with the lift, then you're talking about so much less work for somebody to do than get on the phone and start calling people or texting people or trying to follow up with people to make sure that gap is closed. And so I think that the introduction of the things you're talking about with where we move from just a landing page vehicle that's giving people an opportunity with buttons to purchase plugged in with their credit card processor or the processing payment gateways on the backside. We're inserting a CRM in between those two for the sake of how can we help you manage the people as they're seeing your stuff, the way they're purchasing your stuff, still transacting through the gateway, but it's communicating within this customer resource management center where exactly all of the communications that's happening in there and can triage a lot of the lift that doesn't have to be human power. And I think that collections is a great example of that, Ben. That's a perfect iteration of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always like to remind people too, you really should be scaling out of the tools you started with. Nobody's jumping into the Ferrari of CRMs the first day they have a company and they have no sales. They're really just ragtagging things together, tying in whatever they can. And that's great for when you're starting out, because before you've proven your product and your market, like that's how it starts out. But you will always reach that point where you've scaled out of how you started out. And that should be seen as a good sign. Like it shouldn't be frustration. It should always be like, you know what, that's great. This worked when we were making 100 sales a month. It's not working when we're making 1,000 sales a month. So let's start looking for something that does work.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I want to jump into here is around organization, or I like to say professionalism, but that's kind of a weird one. But one of the pet peeves I know I see, a lot of people see is the first thing is, URLs. What's your domain? Is it aaronvivian.kajabi.com? Is he still using the Kajabi domain to host his courses? Or did he spend the $12 a year to buy his own domain and plug it in for free to his website? So, like, how are you presenting yourself from first glance? I know some people won't notice, but some people do notice. And some people go, okay, well, Aaron and Vivian can't even buy a domain. What's his course going to teach me?
Fair.
So really looking at your domains, your URLs, your landing pages, like, what are they built on? Any landing page builder, anything you're paying for, they will integrate. They will do that for free. All you need is that domain for $12 a year through GoDaddy. Another one, Gmail emails. If Aaron Havivian.thecollabteam@gmail.com sent you an email inviting you to this challenge, you're like, what's this guy got to do? He's still using that Gmail account. Come on. For only $6 per user per month, you can upgrade into a G Suite, which is, to me, the easiest one. You could, of course, get a Microsoft Office account connected to your domain. I'm pretty sure that's about the same price. I haven't done it in a while. Aaron, is it?
Yeah, I think Microsoft's a little bit more expensive, but we don't really advocate for that. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, I don't want to hate. No.
No, so it's just that next step. It's like, okay, I mean, that's not a big expense. I can even create, my favorite hack with the G Suite is creating alias users. You can have 3 different alias emails, so it looks like you have a support at the Collab team, a finance at the Collab team, and an Aaron at the Collab team, but it's really all going to the same inbox, and you're only paying for one user. But you just made yourself go from Aaron at Gmail to this company that now looks like it has 3 different separate departments that need their own email address. Little do they know it's all going to Aaron's pocket, but that doesn't matter. And it's still $6 per user per month. It's just $6 a month. So that's one of my other favorite ones. I know sometimes it's people are like, but all these things add up, but it's like, really, how do you want to present yourself to your customers? If you can't present yourself super professionally, how do they expect you to be the expert in the product you're selling? With the Gmail too, you do get that cloud storage, accessibility to your own content, especially if you start getting more people under you. You then own their email accounts and anything they create in a lot easier fashion than if they're creating it in their own accounts. So that's one of the best things. Not like you just want all that control, but it's like, what if Ben did create this really cool template, but it's under his personal email, and then Ben leaves. Now we're like, we really want that template. And now we're trying to get a hold of Ben. Ben's off in Peru, backpacking. He's not responding. But if Ben had set it up and we had our own account that Ben set it up in, when he left, we offboarded it. We own all that stuff already. We don't need to go find Ben in Peru. It lives with us right now. So it's something we've helped people deal with at the very beginning is, okay, we do want to move to that next step of, applications, integrations, automations, becoming more professional, building out our team, building out our toolbox. And so we do migrate a lot of people into G Suite pretty easily. We don't migrate into Microsoft, as Aaron mentioned.
I think, it's let me clarify. Let me probably qualify that. So I think Microsoft is, for, in my perspective, somebody that's working in a very corporate setting and they're trying to do a very corporate solution that they maybe feel like G Suite isn't professional enough. Although I feel like Google has really come punching hard at that. I do think the nice thing about Google is how many integrations it has, how nice it plays with so many different things. Microsoft is a very proprietary brand, and because of safety concerns, security concerns, I feel like they're pretty locked down and they don't play very nice. And so the downside of that is, if you want to plug into all these third-party things, the visionary has a new piece of tech all the time that they're wanting to introduce. Hey, my friend's using this. Hey, my buddy's using this. And they throw all these things at you. It's nice when you have an environment that plays nice with others. Otherwise, if you're limited down to something that's proprietary and locked down, it's a real hard thing to plug in ways that are just not continually having breakdowns, or there's not some new snafu, or there's not some new security thing that has been rolled out that then breaks all of your other connections. I think that Google does a great job from our perspective on still raising the professional bar, obviously for all the reasons Taryn just mentioned. It's great, and that was a great line out, Taryn. But also plays nice with others. Other things that you're going to want to plug in, and Google just, I feel like, has done really well at making things free as long as they can be free, elevating you up when you want to elevate, and then playing nice and not having to be the one sole solution to everything that you ever do. No, they realize you're going to work well with others. Let's make sure that we make that integration easy on people so they don't have to hire some tech to go build an API connection to build every single thing out, because I think that you want easy connectability. There's no way around that. You don't want to have to create something new for yourself every time you do it. Nothing that any of us are doing is reinventing the wheel. It's just a new iteration of something that's probably already out there. How can we find something that just naturally plugs in the easiest way? And I know, Ben, you and I have taken companies from G Suite into Microsoft and then ricocheted and come back to G Suite. So I think that, just so you guys know, I feel like we've seen every step of that process, and there's a reason we lean so heavy into G Suite. And it's because we've seen the pain that can come out of the other side. If you're a Microsoft lover, user, man, we're not trying to hate. We're just trying to give you some, some of our own personal experience with it.
And a little bit of hate.
Yeah, don't speak for Ben.
Yeah, well, I could say Ben was like, when we started making the shift, he's like, don't do it. And then they made the shift over, and then it lasted about a year, and then they all started coming back around, and all Ben and I could do is send text back and forth about, we told them not to do it. And so they paid a buttload of money going this way, and they paid a buttload of money to come back. So I think that's good solutions.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fun little follow-up you had about Google kind of upgrading. They do make a lot of upgrades. This last G Suite account I set up for somebody, Google actually logged in to their GoDaddy. Well, I logged into GoDaddy. Google actually went in and updated the DNS settings on their own, wow, which is usually the step you need somebody who's more technical savvy to do. But this time, all I had to do was log in, and they went in, corrected the DNS settings, and then verified the change, and then my account was set up. I didn't have to do anything other than log into GoDaddy. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It's amazing.
So I do have one final thing to go through here today. Another kind of little level up from, once you got marketing, automations, integrations, you're kind of looking at your professionalism, organization, up levels. And that's going to be quality control. So who's looking at your stuff before your ideal customer looks at your stuff? Who's testing things out? Who's reading your page? Who's proofing your emails? What are they looking for? I love doing quality control for people because I think of it as like a treasure hunt. I tell myself there's a mistake in here somewhere and I need to find it. I need to click all the buttons, especially the ones in the footer. Those are the ones that get missed a lot. That terms and condition doesn't always go anywhere. Sometimes it's just underlined. Where's that misspelled word? Who said your instead of you are? Like, what's going on here? So I do have a little checklist template here I've created over time. It's just broken down in 3 simple categories: web page, order form, email. But this is something I like to run through when I'm quality controlling things is, okay, how's the grammar? Check. First obviously I'd fill out the top, but we're looking at grammar, looking at spelling, readability. Read it out loud. Doesn't make sense when you read it out loud. Sometimes when you're reading in your head, you read too fast, and there might be 2 thes. It could end in a the and another the on the bottom, and sometimes your brain skips that over because it's just speed reading. If you read that aloud, you might be like, oh, okay, it does say the. Formatting. Do you have weird formatting going on? Does this paragraph match this paragraph? Sometimes you're building things in elements and you switch to a new element. You might forget to change the formatting on that new element. Links and buttons, are they going to the correct places? Do they go anywhere at all? Are they even buttons? Sometimes I'll go to a website and I'll click what I thought was a button. Turns out it wasn't a button. And I'm like, you got to design that. I mean, I clicked that and said, this button doesn't go anywhere. That obviously needs to be changed. That should not look like a button. Are your videos playing? Make sure you're not logged into the same Vimeo account that they're hosted from to make sure that everybody can view that video. Check it out in an incognito window because people will be like, I swear it was working. And it's like, yeah, but were you also signed into Vimeo at the same time? Date and times, are those looking good? If it's webinar, live event, where the time zone conversion's correct. Did somebody put 3 p.m. Eastern when they should have put 3 p.m. Pacific? That can make a big difference when people start signing up. Once again, all this leads back to your customer support team putting out fires. It's just a little bit of insight ahead of time. Favicon, it's another one of my favorite ones. I don't even know is it that or favicon? I always say favicon.
I always say favicons too. Yeah.
This this nice little green thing up here, someone on our team put the energy in to make this tiny little, I think what's the max 50 pixel graphic to be inserted on our right here in the URL bar of our web pages. If you don't get that in there, then sometimes your page, you can tell where it was built because it'll have that little ClickFunnels logo. in the favicon instead. Like, oh, I know they made that in ClickFunnels and nobody changed that favicon. Just a nice little simple one. URL, page title, SEO. This is the page title, SEO. This is the URL. Does it say level up, or does it say duplicate of other challenge that happened last year? That was a fun one. Opt-in forms. Anyways, you get what I'm going for here, but there's a lot of different things you can check on. Comes to order forms, same things. When it comes to emails, same things. You're really just looking at all those final steps of, okay, somebody who created this has been looking at this thing for probably 5 hours. They're not going to know what to look for. Like, to them, it's all the same because they've been staring at it all day. They should not be the one giving the final sign off on this. Somebody else who's never seen this before really needs to put some fresh eyes on this.
Yeah. And I will say, Taryn, I feel like you do that better than anybody I've ever seen. I don't have any problem saying that out loud. I feel like the biggest names we've rolled up on, I feel like you've brought so much value of, hey, you should probably just have Taryn quality control that. Like throw that in Taryn, let him just give it one final punch, and I feel like you always bring one right to the jaw. And it's like, thank God that was worth us putting Taryn at to go through that for him. Because I feel like quality control is something that, just like you said, Taryn, usually by the end of anybody that's been building it. So somebody like me who's written out all the copy, or somebody like Savannah who's designed out all the graphics, or somebody like Ben that's plugged it all in and put it all together. Any of us have spent hours in that funnel. Like, we've spent hours of time like looking at it, re-looking at it, looking at it in desktop version, looking at it in mobile version, and we're looking for each one of our specificities that we're focusing on. It's so great when you can just like knock on the door of somebody like a Taryn and say, hey, will you do me a favor? Will you just QC this for me? And Taryn can pull it up and send you back a quick email with, hey, change this to this, change this to this. Look at this. I clicked this link. It didn't go there. Hey, this video is the wrong video. Hey, have you thought about what you want for the end card on that video? Do you want that video just going to a Vimeo video, or do you want that going to a landing page itself? Like, thinking through things that you're like, oh, that's so much better. That's such a great suggestion. And a lot of times it's not big fixes. Taryn's not going to be like, hey, I need you to go and reformat, recreate this whole thing. Like, it's very, very rare that somebody would have missed it to that grade, but it's the little things, right? All of us are, we're the what do they call them? The armchair quarterback, where it's so easy to sit back and look at somebody else's work and being like, what a joke, so unprofessional, whatever. Like, we can all get so hypercritical, but when it's our stuff, we don't want people to be critical of us. So having somebody just take a quick, hey, spend an hour on this, Taryn, 1 hour. How much is that going to cost you? Put an hour of Taryn's time into quality control in this thing, and then have a good thing that comes back. So all the time people will knock on our door to do project blocks for, hey, will you just go through our funnels? Hey, will you just take a look at our tech? And Taryn will come in, and Ben will come in, and team will come in to do some vetting and make some suggestions. And every time, I've never once ever had anybody say anything back to me except for, thank God. Ben, because the reality is your team needs extra support. And sometimes, like virgin eyes, to see something for the first time, they're going to see it so much faster than somebody who's already been drinking the Kool-Aid because they're on your team. Somebody that comes in as a third party outside that can just say, hey, quick spot check, there's some issues here. I think it's invaluable.
Yeah, and I like to remind people too, if you don't find these mistakes, your customers will. Like, we've all been in the support inbox. As soon as something goes live, oh, you smelled yours misspelled. Oh, that video is not playing. Oh, this button goes here. It should be here. You're promoting this, but it's going here. Like, they just start flooding in, and you're like, oh my gosh. And once again, your customer support team is now putting out fires instead of responding to real questions that are trying to up level your sales.
Yeah. And most likely putting out fires that they have nothing to know about. They're like,
that's right, no control over. Even it's not like they're going to jump in the funnel and fix it. What are they going to do? It's not like they're going to jump into the email copy and fix that. Yeah,
it's all, your customer support team's always on their heels trying to figure out what your tech team messed up along with the customer as it's happening. You're like, this is the first time I've seen this too.
I didn't even know this page was live.
That's exactly a good plug for Savannah's talk tomorrow about make sure you're keeping your customer experience team in the know, man. Don't release something and then just be like, oh man, we've got to tell the customer experience team, and then their whole inbox is lit on fire and they don't even have the resources to give them good answers. Like, Think proactively.
Yeah, maybe Sven will talk more about this tomorrow, but when you're requesting replies from emails and you forgot to tell your support team, all of a sudden they're like, hey, what do you want me? We've got 25 replies to this email of people telling us their stories. What do you want us to do with these?
The best is when it's like action items, right? Hey, if you want to reply to this, reply back to support with this phrase. And then the phrase comes in, the team's like, does anybody didn't know what you're supposed to do with that phrase? Like, they're texting visionary. Hey, I've got like 100 people that are all asking for this one thing. What am I supposed to give them?
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be a fun conversation tomorrow. I mean, with Savannah, we're talking, customer support, customer experience, whatever you're calling it, customer something, customer care. That's another one I didn't mention today. That could be a fun one. Workflows, fulfillment, follow-up, high ticket clients. How are you taking care of these things? How are you knocking down fires before it reaches your team? What kind of applications have you set up in that area, and how do they integrate with what you already have? Pretty excited for that.
It's gonna be good.
Real quick before we run out of time, we've worked with Pedro's team a lot with their bots. You didn't mention too much about it. How do you feel about sort of integrating bots into your automations too?
The bot has been wonderful. Yeah, it's definitely a next level thing. The guy doing it is writing his own custom API code. He's basically just building his own hands that are reaching into our CRM. And so that bot's just like, okay, who are you? And then it reaches in and it's like, I know everything. And then it's able to answer somebody's question. It's like, hey, I signed up for the VIP, but I don't have the link. And it's like, no, you didn't. But maybe under a different email. Is it possible you used a different email?
Yes. The great thing that I think I noticed from them too is they're able to use that even as a sales vehicle. Like they come in and say, I'm supposed to have VIP, and the bot reads, they don't. They goes, would you like to purchase VIP?
Yes.
And you made a sale right there. Yeah, it's been interesting to watch that sort of kind of evolve.
Shout out for RJ at Black Belt Bots. I think she's done a great job for Pedro, other clients of ours as well. Great for content as well, not just for support bots, but like once you get somebody into a challenge, once you get somebody into a mastermind, how are they consuming your content? Are they consuming your content? Having a bot that kind of guides them through that process. She's got incredible statistics on success rate of people consuming 60, 70 to 80% more than they were consuming before without somebody just nurturing them through. Like, think like a wizard, right? Like in the old days of getting a piece of software and a wizard walks you through the application. Same thing with your content. What kind of wizard could take me through the content that I'm delivering?
Definitely next level automation.
Taryn, did we cut off all your content? Do you want me to pick it up?
We cut off. We're done.
Hey,
I'm
thank
out.
you so much. I feel like you've got a treasure trove, and I know you just skimmed the surface of it. Obviously we didn't deep dive on anything. Thank you for all the show and tells. Thanks for talking to us about automations. Automations, a lot of times I feel like comes off as almost like a foreign language for some people. They're like, I don't know what he just said. Like they just don't track through it. And I feel like you and Ben, both on that side of automations for our team at the Collab team, do a great job at translating it and making it simple for folks. A lot of tech people, I think there's some kind of weird ego in it where they make people feel small by talking about things that other people don't understand. And it's like a false inflated ego of their own, of they have this hidden knowledge that they know about. You guys do a great job at like just making it plain. Hey, let's just make it really simple, because what we found is it doesn't do anybody any service for me to come in with really technical language that they don't know what it means. Like, our whole job at the Collab team is to empower your team to get better at what they do. So if we try and keep it just us, particular on our knowledge, it's not going to help your team get better. And so I think Taryn, you and Ben both, and Savannah and all the rest of the crew within Collab team have done a great job at taking really complex topics, making them simple, just like you did this morning. And then even like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, because I think that as people ascend, maybe you're watching this today and you're like, yeah, bro, CRM's duh, I got it, but that's not everybody watching today. And then also, yeah, CRM's duh, got it, but how do you though? How complex is your CRM? How much are you thinking through your automations? How much of the lift could still be done with bots, with automations, without necessarily human touch? Because you want to save human touch for where it matters most, right? Like, let's make sure when your people are actually engaging with your client, they had to. And it wasn't something that could have been nurtured by a sequence that got them to a place where they're ready to make a decision, and then they get on the phones, or then they get on a chat, or then they drop an email, because then your people's time is actually maximizing dollars. That's what this whole topic was about today, is how can you maximize sales by automations? Well, the way you can do that is make the lift. Let the lift be enough to help with the automation, so that when people time get involved, it really counts. Make your dollars count. So today we're going to deep dive into VIP today. If you haven't gotten VIP yet, Savannah just dropped it into the Facebook group. You can find it at foundations-that-scale.com/foundations-upgrade. And that's just going to take you into the VIP. We're going to come back at 1 p.m. today, and it's an opportunity for you to ask your own company specific questions around automation. Hey, Taryn, have you ever thought about HubSpot? I know you've talked a lot about today in Infusionsoft. We're moving to HubSpot. A lot of people have been talking about HubSpot. Taryn, what do you have thoughts on that about? Hey, Taryn, have you ever thought about this CRM engine? Have you ever thought about this form builder? Have you ever thought about this membership site platform? Like, there's so many different pieces to automations that Taryn didn't deep dive into today. And if you're experiencing a pain point, for $37, jump into the VIP and come and get your questions answered. The beauty is it's custom tailored around you getting proximity with an expert like Taryn for something super cheap. You're not going to be able to touch the Collab team for $37 moving forward at that price point. I mean, jump in for us for an hour and get your questions answered. If you heard us talk about some things today as well about project blocks, ways we can help you. We love helping out people with project blocks. We're going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit more tomorrow about ops experts and ways that you can always have us on tap. How can I get Collab ops expert folks always on tap, always on the ready, getting continually drip new information, new data, new things, interviewing new excellent people in the space around operations. We're going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. And you're going to get the amazing Savannah Newton. If you guys have never got the pleasure of working with Savannah, Savannah is a hidden gem at the Collab team. We kind of keep her protected, because if too many people start finding out about her, everybody wants access to Savannah, and she only has so much access. She's a mom. She's a wizard at customer experience. She's great, especially about taking you out of your inbox into ticketing software and solutions, how you set those up, how you set up macros, which are just simply canned responses for your team to clear cut forests of customer service problems by just one click of a button, and you can answer multiple people all at the same time with the same answer, and then let next level question percolate up, and then ascending through your customer journey of, is this a customer level 1 or a customer level 2 or a customer level 3 concern, and how do you build out your team accordingly? So Savannah has been doing this a long time, has done it for some of the greats that we've already mentioned. So we're excited to hear from Savannah tomorrow. You don't want to miss customer experience tomorrow, because as we've been talking about, how can you maximize through automations? How can you then maintain those sales through your customer experience? And then how do you make sure your team doesn't burn out? So if you missed burnout yesterday with your team and how you prevent that, make sure you go back here in the Facebook group or on YouTube and catch yesterday's replay. You won't want to miss it. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow on Ops Experts Masterclass. Come back here, wherever you're viewing it now. We'll be back here tomorrow, 10 a.m., same place. Talk to you guys soon.